2005, a canceled TV show did the impossible. It came back from the dead as a major motion picture. Serenity wasn't just a movie. It was a rebellion. A fan army called the Browncoats literally willed this film into existence, changing Hollywood forever. But what you saw on screen, that's only half the story. From a hallway fight that rewrote action cinema to props stolen right off the set, these are 20 secrets that reveal the chaotic, brilliant, heartbreaking journey of the movie that proved fans could beat the system. Let's dig in. Number 1. The movie only happened because fans saved Firefly. Here's where it all begins. When Fox canceled Firefly in 2002 after just 11 episodes, most shows would have vanished forever. But something strange happened. DVD sales exploded. Fan conventions erupted with browncoat gatherings. Online petitions hit hundreds of thousands of signatures. This was 2003, remember? Before social media, before viral campaigns were a thing studios understood. Joss Whedon watched all this happen and realized he had lightning in a bottle. He took the DVD numbers to Universal and made his pitch. These fans are organized, they're passionate, and they'll show up opening weekend. Universal took the gamble. They greenlit Serenity primarily because of that fan movement, one of the first times a major studio bet on internet fandom like this. And here's the kicker. Every studio in Hollywood now uses this playbook. Fan campaigns, social media pushes, petition drives. Serenity helped write the manual. The Browncoats didn't just save their show, they changed how the entire industry thinks about canceled properties. But making the movie, that's where things got wild. Number 2. Whedon rewrote the ending 17 times. Whedon knew he had one shot, one film to wrap up everything Firefly never got to finish. The pressure was crushing, so he did what any obsessive creator does. He rewrote the ending over and over and over again. 17 different versions, 17 attempts to nail the perfect conclusion. In early drafts, different characters died, different revelations happened. The tone shifted wildly. Test audiences watched various cuts, and Whedon kept adjusting based on their reactions. One version killed Inara, another killed Kaylee. The structure of the Miranda revelation changed multiple times. Whedon later admitted he was second-guessing himself constantly, trying to honor the fans while also making something that worked for newcomers. The final version, the one we got, was actually one of the last iterations, and even that went through late changes during post-production. Talk about shooting a moving target, which leads us to the most brutal decision Whedon made. Number 3. 2 major characters were killed off, Shepherd Book and Wash, 2 beloved crew members, both dead before the third act even starts. This wasn't accidental. Whedon wanted Serenity to feel different from the TV show, heavier, more dangerous, more final. On Firefly, the crew always made it out alive. There was a safety net. The show could always continue. But a movie needed consequences. Whedon deliberately targeted characters fans love to send a message. No one is safe anymore. This isn't the TV show. This is war. Book's death came first, a shocking murder that sets the emotional stakes. It tells the audience the rules have changed. Then, just when you think you've processed that loss, just when the crew is rallying for the final battle, a Reaver spear comes out of nowhere and kills Wash in the pilot seat. That moment shattered audiences. And it was supposed to. Whedon wanted genuine grief, genuine fear. He wanted viewers to believe any character could die at any second during that final battle. It worked. Too well, some fans might say. Number 4. Alan Tudyk learned of his death at the table read. Speaking of Wash's death, here's the behind-the-scenes gut punch. Alan Tudyk showed up to the first table read excited, ready to fly Serenity again. He started reading the script, got to the Reaver attack scene, saw the stage direction. A spear impales Wash through the chest. He laughed. Obviously a joke, right? Some dark humor Joss threw in there. He looked up expecting everyone to be grinning. Instead, the room was dead silent. Whedon looked at him and said, "No, really, you're dead." Tudyk was stunned. Nobody had warned him. Nobody had called him ahead of time. He found out his character's fate the same moment everyone else did. Later, Tudyk admitted it felt like a gut punch, but he understood Whedon's reasoning. The death had to feel sudden and unfair. Even the actor needed to experience that shock. That authenticity shows in his final scenes. Tudyk plays Wash with no knowledge of impending doom, making the death hit even harder. Number 5. Fillion fought to keep his iconic line. "I aim to misbehave." 4 words. Probably the most quoted line from the entire Firefly universe, and it almost didn't make it into the movie. The original script drafts didn't include it. Whedon was writing tighter, faster dialogue for the film format. But Nathan Fillion fought for that line. He knew the fans would want it. He knew Mal needed that signature moment of defiant swagger. Whedon agreed and wrote it into the scene where Mal confronts the operative. That cocky, reckless, perfectly Mal Reynolds moment. Fillion delivered it with that trademark half smile, and it became iconic instantly. Fans still put it on t-shirts, tattoos, convention banners. It's the rallying cry of the entire franchise. All because Fillion pushed back and insisted it belonged in the film. Number 6. The ship set was rebuilt perfectly. Most movies would cut corners. Build a similar-looking ship, change a few details, save some money. Not Serenity. Whedon and his production designer went the opposite direction. They rebuilt the entire Serenity interior exactly as it appeared in Firefly. Every dent in the walls, every scratch on the tables, every piece of random clutter in the cargo bay. They recreated it all from photographs and original set plans. Why? Because Whedon knew hardcore fans would notice even tiny continuity errors. He wanted the ship to feel lived in, authentic, like stepping back into the show. This was a mid-budget film, remember? They didn't have blockbuster money. Spending resources on perfect set recreation was a gamble, but it paid off. When fans saw Serenity on screen, it felt like coming home. The ship looked exactly as they remembered. Even the hidden details matched. Graffiti on the walls, tools in specific locations, personal items in crew quarters. The level of care was obsessive. Number 7. Reaver makeup took 4 hours per actor. The Reavers needed to be terrifying. Not movie monster scary, genuinely disturbing. So the makeup department created an entire lore-guided look for them. Dried blood patterns suggesting ritual violence, self-inflicted scars, improvised armor made from victims, decayed teeth, wild matted hair. Each Reaver actor sat in the makeup chair for 4 hours, every morning, for weeks. The process was grueling, but the results were nightmare fuel. These weren't generic space zombies. They were human beings who'd broken in the most horrible way possible. The makeup artists studied trauma, studied self-harm patterns, studied what happens to the human body under extreme psychological breakdown. Then they translated that into practical effects. No CGI monsters here, just deeply unsettling human actors transformed into walking atrocities. And that commitment to realism made the Reavers genuinely frightening in a way CGI creatures rarely achieve. Number 8. The hallway fight became iconic. You know the one. River Tam stands alone in the cargo bay, surrounded by Reavers. The door locks. She's unarmed. Then she moves, and the massacre begins. That 60-second sequence became the single most iconic moment of the entire Firefly franchise. It's the scene fans replay endlessly. It's in every tribute video, every reaction compilation, every discussion about the movie. Why? Because it's the moment River's true nature gets unleashed. The choreography was designed to feel like a dance. Graceful, fluid, lethal. River doesn't fight like a soldier. She fights like a weapon programmed by the Alliance to achieve maximum efficiency. Every movement is precise, beautiful, and terrifying. Summer Glau trained for weeks to nail that sequence. The production shot it in multiple takes, using a mix of wide shots and close-ups to capture both the artistry and the violence. No shaky cam, no quick cuts, just pure, brutal ballet. That scene is what people remember most about Serenity, and it's built entirely on Glau's number 9. River's fighting style came from ballet. Summer Glau wasn't just an actress playing a fighter, she was a trained ballet dancer, and Whedon knew it. So, instead of teaching her generic, Martial arts, the stunt coordinators built Reavers' entire fighting style around ballet movements. Flexibility instead of strength, grace instead of aggression. Reavers' kicks, spins, and strikes all come from dance vocabulary. Arabesque positions become devastating leg strikes. Pirouettes become evasive maneuvers. Grand jetés become aerial attacks. This wasn't just stylistic flair, it made tactical sense for the character. Reaver was small, thin, not physically imposing, but she was engineered to be the perfect weapon. Her style needed to reflect that unnatural precision and fluidity. Glau later said the choreographers would literally demonstrate moves using ballet terminology. "Give me a fouette into that takedown. Use your turnout for this knife block." She was speaking her native physical language. The result? Combat that looks like nothing else in action cinema. Reaver doesn't fight like John Wick or Jason Bourne. She fights like a music box ballerina programmed to kill, and that unsettling grace was enhanced even further in post. Number 10. CGI enhancements nearly blew the budget. Even with Glau's extraordinary physicality, Whedon wanted Reaver to seem subtly wrong, too fast, too smooth, slightly beyond human capability. So the post-production team digitally augmented several of her movements. They added motion blur to specific strikes, sped up certain reactions by a few frames, smoothed out transitions between movements to make her seem eerily fluid. These were tiny enhancements. Most viewers don't consciously notice them, but they add to the uncanny valley effect. The problem? This kind of detailed CGI work is expensive and time-consuming. Each enhanced shot required rotoscoping, motion tracking, and careful compositing. The costs started ballooning. Universal got nervous. Whedon had to fight to keep the enhancements, arguing they were essential to selling Reaver as an alliance weapon. He won. Barely. The final budget came dangerously close to overruns, but those digital touches stayed in the film. And they work. Reaver feels just slightly off, just barely superhuman enough to be disturbing. Number 11. Universal forced the Reaver origin reveal. In Firefly, the Reavers were deliberately mysterious, space legends, horror stories told around campfires. Nobody knew where they came from or why they existed. That ambiguity made them scarier. Universal didn't care about scary, they cared about plot clarity. Studio executives told Whedon flat out, mainstream audiences won't accept an unexplained threat. You need to give them an origin story, an answer. Whedon resisted. He argued mystery was more effective, but Universal had final say. So Whedon created the Miranda revelation, the G23 Paxilon hydrochloride experiment that accidentally created the Reavers by trying to pacify the population. Ironically, that forced explanation became one of the film's strongest moments. The Miranda transmission scene is genuinely chilling. The idea that the Alliance accidentally created their worst nightmare while trying to engineer human obedience? That's brilliant, horrifying sci-fi. Whedon turned studio interference into narrative gold, but getting that scene to work required some unusual location choices. Number 12. The Miranda scene was shot in a real lab. The Miranda sequence needed to feel authentically creepy, sterile, abandoned, haunted by atrocity. So the location scouts found an actual abandoned aerospace research facility somewhere in California. The place was perfect. Empty laboratories, dusty equipment, long corridors with flickering lights, rooms that felt frozen in time. The production barely had to dress the set. The location was already deeply unsettling. Jewel Stight later said filming there gave everyone genuine chills. The echoes, the isolation, the sense that something terrible had happened in these spaces. That authentic atmosphere shows in the final footage. The Miranda facility doesn't look like a set. It looks like a real place where real horrors occurred. Number 13. The final space battle was cut down. The script Whedon wanted to shoot had a massive final space battle. Multiple Reaver ships, Alliance cruisers, Firefly-class vessels joining the fight. A full-scale orbital war with the crew of Serenity caught in the middle. Universal looked at the budget and said no. They couldn't afford that level of CGI. Whedon had to scale back significantly. The final battle became smaller, more focused, more personal. But here's the twist. The smaller version actually works better. Instead of a sprawling effects spectacle, the climax stays intimate. It's about Mal and the crew making a desperate last stand, about River unleashing herself against the Reavers, about the operative's crisis of conscience. Whedon later admitted the budget limitation forced him to make a better movie. Sometimes constraints breed creativity. The film's finale is more emotionally powerful because it's character-driven, not CGI-driven. Number 14. The hover mule chase ate the budget. That extended chase through the desert terrain, Mal on the hover mule being pursued by Reaver vehicles, cost nearly 20% of the entire film's budget. 20% for one sequence. Why so expensive? Multiple factors. The CGI for the vehicles, the practical rigs for the actors, the dust effects, the multiple stunt units coordinating together, the digital environment extending the practical desert location. Every piece of that sequence required specialized work. Universal almost cut it entirely to save money. Whedon fought back hard, arguing the chase was essential for pacing. The film needed a pure action beat after heavy exposition. He won, but just barely. The sequence stayed in the film, and it serves its purpose, a kinetic, exciting break between dialogue-heavy scenes. But it came at a cost to other parts of the production. Speaking of costs, the very first shot of the movie was absurdly complex. Number 15. The opening shot took a month to animate. You know that incredible continuous shot at the beginning? Starts in a classroom with young River, pulls back through a window, reveals it's a hologram, flies through the Alliance facility, follows Simon rescuing River, ends up on Serenity. One seamless, unbroken shot. That single shot took a month to animate. It's a hybrid of live-action footage, CGI environments, digital set extensions, and motion-controlled camera moves, all stitched together to seem like one continuous take. The technical complexity was enormous. Every element had to be precisely timed. Lighting had to match across different locations and digital environments. The camera path had to feel natural and motivated, not showy. Transitions between practical and CG had to be invisible. Whedon wanted that opening to establish the film's scope, taking viewers from intimate character moments to massive sci-fi environments in one flowing sequence. It worked, but the animation team nearly quit from the stress. Number 16. The operative's costume drew from Buddhist monks. Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, the operative, needed to feel different from typical movie villains, not bombastic or theatrical, calm, spiritual, certain of his righteousness. The costume designers drew inspiration from Buddhist monastic robes. The operative's outfit has clean lines, a robe-like structure, a minimalist color palette of grays and blacks. He looks almost priestly. Combined with his soft-spoken manner and precise movements, it creates an unsettling contrast. He's a killer who treats murder as a sacred duty, a believer who commits atrocities for the greater good. The costume reinforces that contradiction. He looks peaceful, enlightened, even holy, while doing monstrous things. Whedon told Ejiofor to move, as if killing is a sacred act, and that direction shaped everything about the character. Number 17. His fighting style was samurai-inspired. Building on that spiritual assassin concept, the stunt coordinators gave the operative a fighting style based on samurai sword techniques, even though he uses different weapons. Every strike is deliberate, economical. There's no wasted movement, no showboating. He fights like someone performing a ritual, precise, respectful, lethal. His movements suggest years of disciplined training in a specific martial tradition. Ejiofor trained extensively to embody that controlled violence. He studied kendo, iaido, and other Japanese sword arts to understand the mindset. The result is a villain who fights with eerie gentleness, making every kill seem almost compassionate in his mind. That combination of spiritual calm and brutal efficiency makes him one of the most unsettling antagonists in sci-fi cinema. But while the operative was being refined, behind the scenes, chaos was brewing. Number 18. River's trigger phrase was almost blue sky. In the film, River has a subliminal trigger phrase implanted by the Easy-E Alliance. When she hears it, she becomes a weapon. The phrase went through multiple versions during scripting. Early drafts used blue sky as the trigger. It sounded poetic, innocent, Deeply ironic, given Rivers' imprisonment. But Universal's marketing team rejected it. They thought it was too vague, too literary, not specific enough for audiences to remember. So Whedon changed it to a more coded, clinical phrase, something that felt more like Alliance programming language. The final version sounds more like a command protocol, less like poetry. It's a small change, but it affects the tone. Blue sky would have been haunting and tragic. The actual trigger phrase sounds more mechanical, more dehumanizing. Both work, but they create different emotional effects. Number 19. Universal nearly renamed it Firefly, the movie. Here's something most fans don't know. Universal almost didn't call it Serenity. Marketing executives argued that since the TV show was called Firefly, the movie should be too. Firefly, the movie, tested better with focus groups unfamiliar with the franchise. Whedon fought this decision hard. He argued Serenity was thematically important. The ship's name represented home, family, freedom. Also, Firefly was still a relatively obscure canceled show. Naming the movie after it might actually hurt box office by reminding people it was a failed TV series. Universal eventually agreed. Serenity stayed. But the compromise meant heavy marketing emphasizing from the creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and minimal references to Firefly outside fan communities. It was the right call artistically, though it may have hurt mainstream awareness. Many potential viewers never realized Serenity was related to that canceled space Western show. But the cast didn't care about marketing debates. They were too busy stealing everything. Number 20. The cast stole props as souvenirs. As filming wrapped, the cast knew this might be the last time they'd ever be on Serenity. So, they did what any sentimental actors would do. They stole props. Not officially, just took things. As keepsakes. Nathan Fillion pocketed Mal's pistol. Summer Glau kept Rivers' boots. Morena Baccarin took a piece of the cargo bay. Jewel State grabbed tools from the engine room. Alan Tudyk grabbed dinosaur toys from the cockpit. The props department noticed items disappearing and just let it happen. They understood. This was the crew's last voyage together, at least as far as anyone knew. If the actors wanted mementos, who could blame them? Years later, cast members still have these items. Fillion has displayed his prop gun at conventions. Glau has shown the boots in interviews. These stolen fragments of Serenity became treasured relics of the show that refused to die. Serenity proved that canceled doesn't mean dead, not when fans refuse to give up. From resurrected sets to hidden deaths, this movie was an act of defiance against impossible odds. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, do it now for more forgotten film deep dives. And check out our video on Blade Runner's secrets next. Thanks for watching, brown coats. Stay shiny.